Welcome back to Touring the AFC South. I am your host, Mike Patton, and the NFL playoffs are upon us. There's going to be some winners. There's going to be some losers. There's going to be some controversy. It always is. But talking about the playoffs and talking about a little bit more about them as well, I have two special guests with me. I have Mr. Terrence Pitts and I have Mr. Is it Henry Lane? I can't read my own writing over here. Great. But anyway, they come together and make Pitt-N-Push, and I definitely enjoyed listening to your episode you had with now I'm over here forgetting names because Hugh Jackson. So yes. I remember that. Yeah, that episode was a good episode. Definitely enjoyed it. And man, welcome to the show.
Appreciate you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, of course. Now, I want to let everyone get to know both of you and where you're from, what you do, things like that. So how did this whole podcast get started? Now I just want to let them know you're on season 3. Episode 9 was the last episode.
So season 3 episode, I want to say 15 or 16.
15. I missed one. But that's all right. I'm gonna catch up.
And we got two more lined up tomorrow.
Oh man, y'all staying busy for sure. But how did y'all get started, man?
So it's crazy, right? You know how I'm pretty sure me playing sports and me knowing Push, sports is a passion of mine. It's that one thing that I feel like I don't have to really study for because I know the intricacies when it comes to the game, regardless of what sport it is. And it's something that I just love to talk about. So it became one of those, how we have barbershop talk. We always talking sports in the barbershop. I felt like I had more to offer. So, podcasts at that time, we started in 2000. This is our 3rd year, and at that time, podcasts really weren't popping or wasn't as popular. And it became something that I've been wanting to do. And, me and Push are both from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I ran into him. It's somebody I know, I grew up with. I know his football pedigree, not to mention we got history on the gridiron playing against each other, so it was like no best person to go on business with it than Push. So it's been a beautiful thing since then, man.
All right. Now Push, go ahead, man.
Well, absolutely, man. Like I said, he came to me with the idea. And I thought about it for a while, and I was like, yo, man, I wouldn't mind doing this. I miss being out on the field. It kind of like gives you that itch back, like you're an athlete back out on that gridiron or back on that court or whatever. And we work well together, man. We from Pittsburgh, PA. He from Wilkinsburg. I'm from the Hill. I used to beat up on him in Little League. I'll let him I'll tell you I'm the best. He'll tell you another story, man. But yeah, man, Pitt-N-Push, man, we came together and made something genuine, and we've been meeting a lot of new people, a lot of new contacts, and we got some great things coming in store for 2023.
So Mike, if I could just come in and kind of chime in. So you asked the purpose, right? So the purpose of Pitt-N-Push at first, as we said, was to talk sports, right? But when we talk about college sports, we both have a love for it, but HBCUs in particular, that's where we talk all sports, but we really have been paying a close eye to HBCUs. We cover daily Bowie State University. We cover most of their athletics. We've been out, did coverage on them for it. We've had coverage with Morgan State, Coach Damon Wilson. As you stated earlier, we've had conversations with Coach Hugh Jackson at Grambling. And we've also had conversations and interviews with Coach Bernard Clark Jr. at Robert Morris University. And just recently, as of last week, we actually now, and we'll go ahead and announce it on your show first, we became full partnerships with the CIAA. So now we are a part of their media production. So, we have an event coming up next Tuesday that's going to be, we get to be out there with the mayor of Baltimore. So it's big things coming down the pipeline. We expect a very great 2023 and beyond, but just wanted to kind of highlight those areas that the people may not know of.
Absolutely, man. We like 3 years in, 30 podcasts in. Like you said, we interviewed Hugh Jackson, Damon Wilson, things like that. We also created the top, where we had panelists and where we underlined the issues HBCUs. We also started the Pitt-N-Push Sports Talk Trivia, where we do interactive things with the student athletes and the coaches, where we give them fun trivia games and we hook it up for them and everybody gets a good laugh. And then also we created Bulldogs Total Access this year with the Bowie State football team. And lastly, and most importantly, man, we got the give back last year at the Pitt-N-Push the Back giveaway, our first annual back to school giveaway, man. So we've been doing a lot of good things, man. Like I said, a lot of good things coming in store for 2023.
Yeah, I was definitely going to talk about it. I see you all a lot, and I look up, man, and I see your feed, and I see your stories and everything. And I'm like, man, they must be there all the time. They must live at Bowie State. Good gracious. You know, you look up and see all the footage, and I'm like, hey, I enjoy watching it, enjoy seeing it. And I was definitely going to talk about, you know, a little bit more about the love for HBCUs, which, you know, a lot of times when it comes to media and things like that, a lot of media don't go to HBCUs. They try to go to the bigger schools. And it's very refreshing to see, you know, media going to HBCUs, giving HBCUs love and putting them in the spotlight, which is great and excellent. And I want to salute both of you for doing that. We appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Najee.
Now, I do want to also mention, of course, there is this other pro football that I want to talk to you all about too. Now, unfortunately, the Pittsburgh Steelers are not there. I'm not going to dwell on that one. You already know they do have a winning record every single year with Mike Tomlin. So those folks that calling for Mike Tomlin to be fired, stop it. Stop it.
I'm tired of it.
Oh man.
It's just
it ain't Tomlin. It ain't Tomlin, man. So we
right.
knows who it is, but we won't do nothing about it. So I mean, until we do something about Canada, you know.
Yeah, and folks that don't know, that's not Canada the country. That's Matt Canada, the offensive coordinator. So,
well, listen, the way he called plays, you would think we was in Canada. Like, it's just awful.
Yeah, it is interesting from time to time. You know, you kind of, you know, use Najee Harris. I'm still trying to figure out how they don't know how to use Najee Harris yet. But, you know.
So I think the thing with Najee was, you know, remember Najee was hurt coming off the end of last year. You know, he had that lisfrenic fracture in his foot. You know, first day of training camp, he re-injured it. He didn't get surgery in the offseason, so he just trained. He re-injured it again the first day of training camp. So he wasn't right. I don't think he was 100% probably until week 7 or 8. And that's when you started to really see him take off, meaning that he was his physical self. You know, he wasn't tentative. He wasn't apprehensive about hitting a hole. He would just get it and go. Before beginning of the season, he was shifty. You know, he really wasn't, he didn't have that full throttle. So where now, you know, towards the end of the season, you see him going back to either hurdling or he's throwing a stiff form to get you up off him.
Yeah, I give him that.
I feel like Najee, the last maybe 4 games of the season, man, like he turned his game completely around for the year for me, as far as how he was running and getting behind his pads and getting downhill. I mean, I don't know if y'all noticed it, but I noticed it. I don't know if that's because Jalen Warren getting more carries for us or whatever is putting that battery back in Najee's back. But I feel like the last 3 or 4 weeks, man, he was running with tenacity again.
Yeah, I give him that. He looked like he was back at Alabama just a slight bit. But, hey, I give him that. I definitely will. Now, a team that is in that division, or I should say 2 teams that are in that division, will be meeting each other this weekend.
Absolutely.
That would be the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, this isn't – I can't even say this is your uncle's, your aunt's Bengals or anything like that. It isn't your uncle's or your aunt's Baltimore Ravens either, because they're walking wounded, especially with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's not playing in this game, so he'll be sitting out, and then Tyler Huntley's not even sure he's going to even play. So
hold up,
walking wounded.
Lamar's out.
Lamar is out.
What? I know. Yeah. Wow.
He said his knee is still unstable.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, that changed my pick then.
So,
He's,
but you gotta look at it, right? I think on Lamar's case, I think Lamar has proven his case to the Baltimore Ravens, though, if you think about it, because they felt that they had a quarterback behind Lamar and Huntley. I'm not taking anything away from Huntley, but they felt that he can come in and give that same spark that Lamar did. And I think it proved wrong. I think you see that the offense doesn't have the same energy. They don't have the same opportunistic ways and plays to make things happen. You don't see teams watching the box to make sure Lamar, aka Huntley, doesn't get outside. Now Huntley can beat you with his feet if he wants to. However, he's not a threat to a defense in that regard. They're not overly afraid of him attacking him with his feet. So they're going to make him beat him with his arm. And I don't think we've seen him done that in a way that I would say challenges the Cincinnati Bengals defense to make them feel that the Ravens have a chance. Now, I'm not counting the Ravens out because it's the Baltimore Ravens. We all know division play is different. But we'll see.
Definitely. Now, have you had time to get your thoughts together while you kind of wrapped your mind around Lamar Jackson not playing in this game?
I mean, that changes everything, man. I mean, that whole offense is designed for, let's keep it real, Lamar Jackson. They designed that offense, and everything they do is because what Lamar Jackson brings to the table. Let's be clear. It's not Huntley that's behind him. It's not nobody else. They're bringing in those pieces because of what Lamar Jackson is and what he brings to the table as an athlete. He is a one generational player, one time. You don't get them every time. You don't get them every 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for me, that changes the game, man. And I feel like that quarterback position play in the playoffs is this, it has to be immaculate, right? And
right.
They got the young stud.
So
gonna light it up.
To kind of count off of what Push said, I don't think Huntley has to be immaculate. I think J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards that running game has to be established early.
That's what I'm saying.
With the offensive line to make the defense at least play a little bit more back. You just can't have them at the line of scrimmage. So honestly, if the running game can run like we've seen them run at times this year, they've been sporadic. But if the running game can get going and allow, some splash plays by Huntley, then I think Baltimore has a shot because, their defense and their special teams is electric, and their defense can put up points. It's all about what the Ravens do on the offensive side. Will they hurt the team or not? With, situational football. Will they third down conversions? When in the red zone, what is their percentage? Their play selection, is it more run than pass? Is it more pass than run? But then at the same time, their special teams as well, punting the ball, field position, situational football, good punting, good kicking, I think Baltimore has to have like a total package of play, but the offense can't put the defense and special teams in bad situational football.
You think that without Lamar?
I'll say this.
Lamar playing?
What's that?
I was asking y'all think that's going to happen without Lamar playing? The offense.
They have to play a very clean game for them to win this game. No turnovers. The running game has to work. Mark Andrews has to be Mark Andrews instead of just a big white guy that can run. Mm-hmm. And he has to be special. In other words, everyone. And then they just have to have some things happen. And Roquan Smith has to be the alpha of that defense the entire game. If that happens, then the Ravens have a chance. If not going to happen. But I will say this: you said Gus Edwards, but a friend of mine that I know that talks sports with, Mr. Jenkins. I'm gonna leave him at that. He likes to talk about Gus Edwards all the time, and I pick with him all the time. I was like, oh, Gus is gonna have a great game this game because he always talks about Gus being the key to the team, which I have no idea how he comes up with that. But anyway, J.K. Dobbins is going to be the key to this team, not Gus Edwards to me, but I think Gus Edwards needs to come in and at least be able to spell him and keep the trains moving so that way JK can go back in and kind of keep it going. Yeah, work as a team, but he's got to be more the spell guy than the actual main guy. If he's the starting role, he's in the starting role, and he's actually doing better than J.K. Dobbins. Yeah, I think the season is over for the Baltimore Ravens at that point.
But I think one of the things that the Jenkins gentleman is referring to, though, if you go back 2 or 3 years, remember before Gus Edwards got hurt, it was a 3-way hitting monster. It was Lamar Jackson, it was Gus Edwards, and it was J.K. Dobbins. The running backs were averaging, I think that year before they all got hurt, they each had about 800 yards rushing. So he's shown that he can carry and he can make those plays. He may not be the fastest, but if he get outside the box and he get past the linebackers, he can make some things shake. So, and remember, Gus is coming back from an injury, right? Just like J.K. Dobbins, Gus took a little longer. So I think Gus is still getting his leg, just like we talked about Najee Harris. I think is Gus getting his legs back under him. And, if Gus can spell J.K. Dobbins, or if they can be a 2-way hitting monster, that could prove and provide to be dangerous.
Yeah. Well, we can't stay here all night on Baltimore and Cincinnati because, neither one of these teams could potentially be in the Super Bowl, even though I'd say Cincinnati could make that run potentially again. They are talented enough with T. Higgins on one side and Jamar Chase on the other, and Hayden Hurst at the tight end, which nobody really talks about. But
don't forget Tyler Boyd.
No, I can't forget him. That's Mr. Consistent. That's him and Jawan Jennings are pretty similar to me. Jawan Jennings from the 49ers.
Yes.
All their catches are first downs. That's what it always is with both of them. Sure. But I do have to travel to talk about the Buffalo Bills, which the Buffalo Bills had a traumatic event happen when their teammate DeMar Hamlin. Basically he died twice on the field.
Yes.
I'm just going to put it in layman's terms because people talk about CPR and don't understand that when someone is given CPR, that means they are dead and get brought back. So, thank God that DeMar Hamlin is doing well and got released from the hospital. But, mentally that does play with you a little bit, of course, especially with the Buffalo Bills with this past game. Of course, they did have some splash plays, but for the most part, it was an emotional high and then a low for most of the game, and then a kind of another high. So, with that being said, the Buffalo Bills take on the Miami Dolphins minus Tua, minus potentially Raheem Mostert, who broke his thumb in the season finale. So, with that being said, and all the things that the Buffalo Bills have gone through, all the emotional swings that they have gone through, does this give Miami even the inkling of a chance to win this game?
I'll let Push go first.
Without Tua, I don't think they have a chance, right? Now, stacked on what happened to the team and, the young man, God bless his soul, that he's okay. I feel like some type of divine intervention is going on here, right? I think the Buffalo Bills will be too strong. Josh Allen and them guys. Skylar Thompson. Y'all think Skylar Thompson can hold it down for Tua?
No.
Not a little bit.
I feel like Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs connection going to be too much for the Dolphins, and I feel like the Dolphins offense really ain't going to move like that without Tua in there.
So my thoughts on this is clear. Even with the healthy Tua, I don't have the Dolphins beating Buffalo Bills. And here's why.
Be a better game.
This is why. So, do I think Miami has a good defense? I do. For me, the Miami Dolphins offense have been inconsistent even with Tua. Remember, they went on 5 games, 5 loss, 3 games, 3 loss. So they've been very inconsistent offensively. However, when it comes to Buffalo, to me, the player that stands out that I feel will dominate this game more will be Gabe Davis. I don't feel Gabe gets that attention or the notoriety that he deserves. When you look at Josh Allen, and remember, they're home. So they have home field on their to their advantage. But I don't, even without a healthy Von Miller, I just don't see. If we're talking about the same Skylar Thompson that we just watched play against the Jets, if that is the same quarterback that shows up this week, the game should really be a blowout at halftime. Because Skylar missed so many opportunities. Okay, it was his first start. It was his first game. You got to get those jitters, those nerves out. But you talk about playoff football, that's taking it up a notch. So you don't have that pregame, that practice game, regular season game to get another web out your box. No, you have to come and you got to play now since you've already put on tape what you put on tape. So now you got to take it 3 steps higher. I don't think he has that in him. I think this is going to be a blowout.
Yeah, it could get Bubba Sparks ugly up in there. It could. You had something to say, Push. I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, man.
No, I said absolutely to what you said. It might get ugly out there, man. Without Tua out there, man, and you ain't got your starting running back either. Maybe. He don't move the ball at all.
I will say this: Jeff Wilson is solid though as a backup, though. I will say that. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Who's the backup? Say it again.
Jeff Wilson Jr. They traded for him from the 49ers. So basically, you have two former 49ers running backs actually in that backfield.
Yeah. Don't matter.
But and then also I will say though, Tyreek Hill is hobbled as well with a foot injury.
Right,
so
he was hurt.
He's playing, but he'll be out there. But the thing I look at is it's going to take the Baltimore, good gracious, the Miami Dolphins defense, is going to have one heck of a game in this game, to me, and for them to stay in this one.
And they can, Christian Wilkins on the front line, Xavier Howard on the cornerback. They can, but they can't do it for a 60-minute game and get nothing from the offense. That's not going to happen.
Matt. That's where it's going to hurt them at. They're going to get out, man, and they rank 24th in total defense, and they're going to be out there for a long time in the playoffs.
Yeah,
30 degrees. 30 degrees is probably going to be game time temperature.
And a lot of people don't realize, 30 degrees here in Maryland is completely different than 30 degrees in Buffalo or Pittsburgh. It's a completely different element. Your 30 ain't my 30. So we're talking about cold. We're talking about wind chill factors probably within the single digits or low teens. Not even talking about a wind chill fact. I mean, the wind. So,
yeah.
I think it's going to be a landslide.
I would like to say it would, but the playoffs, strange things happen in the playoffs. To me.
We thought that for the national championship, and Georgia beat up TCU 65-7.
Yeah, one of these road teams is going to win. I don't know who it's going to be, but
Tampa.
I'll say this. No. Tampa's at home.
I meant to say Dallas. I meant to say Dallas.
Okay, I got you. Well, what I'll say is this: you bringing up that Georgia and TCU game, man. I don't appreciate you bringing up triggering events for the city of Waco, Texas, man. You're gonna trigger them talking about that game, man. They see that guy running for that last touchdown, man. They just send him in the shock, man. Don't do that. I couldn't help it.
You had so many wide open receivers.
That was crazy. Man, that was a crazy game, bro.
Yeah, I was listening to Elle Duncan talk about it on the Bawani Jones show, and she was like, they're not a quick scoring offense, but Georgia was scoring quick, and she knew right then and there it was over at that point.
I did want to make one plug though, and this is just for all sports audiences and fans. We believe in giving flowers, to people when they're alive, right? And I think the situation that happened with DeMar Hamlin was a clear example of what that means for me, personally. Was that he had a charity, chasing millions, chasing M's, and I think he was only trying to raise $2,500, right? And when that situation happened, it blew up to now I think it's like at 8 million, which is great. But I think that we should give these flowers to these players while they're living. We shouldn't have to wait for something traumatic to happen to them, to then feel that empathy or that sympathy with them. They do a lot of great deeds. So if there's a charity out there that that somebody has that you can identify with, support it now. Don't wait until something happens to that individual to now want to get on board. That's all I wanted to say about that, man.
Well, I hear you there. And I definitely agree, man. You got to live in the moment instead of living in the actual moment that happened.
Yes,
as I would say, yeah. Definitely want to move on to the next game. The next game, of course, is going to be the first game of the playoffs, I believe, and that would be the San Francisco 49ers hosting the Seattle Seahawks, which this is the third time these teams will be playing each other this year. And it'll be the second time that Brock Purdy will be starting against the Seattle Seahawks. Now, Brock Purdy has been, living the charmed life. He's got Deebo Samuel on one side. He's got Brandon Ayuk on the other. He's got a Christian McCaffrey tailback, George Kittle at tight end. He's got Kyle Juszczyk as his fullback / tight end / wide receiver. Sometimes he runs routes out of the backfield.
Oh,
and you got
Trent Williams. Trent Williams on the offensive line.
Yeah, it's just it's an embarrassment of riches.
They
love what it is. But then again, they always say it's tough to beat a team for a third time. And remember, the 49ers have beat them both times this season. And Geno, he still ain't wrote back yet. So do you think it is a possibility that Geno and the Seahawks can put up enough offense against this high-powered San Francisco defense? And then, of course, can their defense slow down all these weapons on offense? Do you think there's possible that the 49ers and Seahawks could really have a game go down to the wire on Saturday afternoon?
I believe it's possible. I don't believe they're going to go down to the wire. I believe it's possible for Seattle to put up a good fight. I don't see Seattle prevailing. I don't see them winning this game, but I do expect and see them putting up a fight.
Okay.
I think it'll be a good game. I think eventually the 49ers will pull away towards the end of the game, but I feel like Seattle's young offensive line, man, is where the game is going to be won or lost at. And then we got Nick Bosa over there, so they're going to have to be battling with him all game. But I feel like that game is going to be won in the trenches. But at the end of the day, I feel like McCaffrey and those guys are just going to be they got way too much firepower. Debo's back. If he gets going early, it could be ugly.
I mean, just think about it, right? You named all of those players on the offensive side for San Francisco, right? Now, when you look on the defensive side, they're just as equally as star-studded, right? Greenlaw at linebacker, Warner, Bosa, Ward. I mean, and then the young safety. You can say the same thing for both sides of the ball for San Fran. It's kind of like all Madden team, right? That you put together and you create your own team and you put them on. You put all your players on 99, and then you invite a friend over and you had them play with a regular team, and they don't know your team is all 99s. That's what I equivalent this game to be.
Got you. Now I will say this. I like to call their safety, who for those that aren't aware, he does train with a certain former USC All-American safety. I'm pretty sure people know who that is. Played for Pittsburgh.
The great 43, Troy Polamalu.
Yeah. So he trains with him. So that's why he kind of mimics him. I will say I think he has better ball skills than Troy had in terms of like picking off passes and things like that. I think he has better sense of timing there in that aspect.
He may. I'm biased. I'm biased.
I know
biased. It's Troy. You know what I'm saying? Like, Troy changed the game. What safety coming to the line of scrimmage and he jumping over at the snap to stop you from getting a touchdown? That's Troy. He's different. He's built different. But I understand what you mean.
Yeah. He definitely is built different. But I like to call that guy Mr. T. That's what I call him. I like the guy for the 49ers. I call him Mr. T because he always makes a play and he does this all the time. So, I call him Mr. T. But yeah, that'll be an interesting game for a little bit, but I'm just happy for Geno. Geno's looking at potential extension this offseason. I mean, no one thought he was going to have better numbers than Russell Wilson this year, especially with the weapons that Russell Wilson had in Denver. But of course, he did have a coach that had to hire a time management guy after like the first game.
Do you think that Denver Broncos had their specialists were better than Seattle's?
I'll say this: if Tim Patrick's playing, they're deeper at wide receiver by far than the Denver Broncos, than the Seattle Seahawks were. But I'd say the tight end actually performed better once he was healthy. The rookie tight end performed better than Noah Fant did, to be honest.
And Fant had a lot of expectations.
Yeah, and it to me, they had a more of a allotment of weapons, and then when the tailback started going down, and then Melvin Gordon couldn't hold on to the football, all those different things. So when that happened, I was like, yeah, the wheels on the bus are falling off right now. And Daniel Hackett has no idea how to put them back on. When you're a kid, or when you're growing up, your dad or whoever teach you how to put the donut on the car if the tire go flat. Nathaniel Hackett didn't know how to do that. So that's where you got it with the Denver Broncos.
They didn't have a spare.
Well, if they did, they blew that one too. But moving on to the next game, we got the Chargers and the Jaguars. Saturday night football. Now, if those that don't remember, the Jaguars beat the Titans on national TV, and they had all that teal, and they had all those flags waving around.
What did I tell you, Mr. Patton?
Yeah,
I told you.
Yeah, you did. I would say this. That defense has progressively gotten better over the season. So I got to give them their props on that one. And a Tennessee team that never was able to get any kind of rhythm offensively for a majority of the season. And then defensively, I mean, they played hard and they kept them in the game and just couldn't carry them to a win, which is what it is. But we're not going to talk about Tennessee this episode. We're going to switch it back to Jacksonville. And they're facing the Los Angeles Chargers. I used to call them the San Diego Superchargers, but I just call them charged up in LA. But to me, they will be without Mike Williams with a back injury.
Oh, he's out.
He will be out of this game with a back injury. And a lot of people are blaming Coach Staley for this one because he was in the game. So I'm going to ask you, the Jaguars have momentum. They've won 5 straight. They have momentum. They have talented players on offense, young players, I should say, at that. They have Bruce Leroy at wide receiver, which that's Zay Jones, who for those that don't know. Look at his picture on the day he signed down there. You'll know why I call him Bruce Leroy. But you have him, and then you have Christian Kirk, and then you have, of course, Evan Ingram, who had a season that most Giants fans are like, well, why couldn't you do that here? But
Right.
And then on defense, they have some young guys that are getting some things done, as well as Cisco at safety and Tyson Campbell at defensive back. So I'm just painting the picture of the Jacksonville Jaguars team. If they're able to win this game and the Chargers have to fly back all the way across the country with that L, do you all think this could be the end of the Staley era for the Los Angeles Chargers?
Ooh, wow. As a coach.
Yeah.
I would say no this year, but hot seat next year.
I would say hot seat.
Okay.
Hot seat.
No this year, but hot seat next year.
Do you know his record the past 3 years, Kabat, or 2 years?
I'll say this. I don't have his record, but I do see these crazy 4th down chances he takes every single week. And that drives me crazy.
But and that's what I was going to say. It depends on Kronos, the owner, right? Because he gambles a lot, which is what you're referring to. And sometimes he gambles when he don't need to gamble. Sometimes he just need to let the game play in itself. And I think he gambles. I mean, listen, when you have the defensive line that you have, I think he has that much confidence in his defense. Do I think it's a good idea? No. Sometimes, yes. But I think it's when he does it. Now, if the result of this game comes down to him going for a 4th down early in the game, when we're talking about a matter of a point, if he goes for a 4th down early in the game and it cost him the game, I can see some things shaking. But I don't think they'll fire him just yet. If anything, he'll be on the hot seat because they'll say, look at the success he had. Justin Herbert came in last year as a rookie. He did what he did. He came back this year, and he's still playing like he. So he has some good things working in his way. But you also got to remember that they did stack that team up for them to win. You talking about Derwin James at safety. You talking about Khalil Mack and the D lineman Bosa, the other
Joey
Bosa.
Yeah.
Right.
The quiet one.
So they built this team to win now. They paid for this team to win now. But I don't think they'll have that issue this week. I think they're going to beat Jacksonville.
Are you taking the dog? Okay. I mean, you taking the Chargers? Okay.
Yeah. I'll go after you, but I'll tell you why I'm gonna take the Chargers. So tell us, Push, why you think Jacksonville?
I mean, for me, it's gonna come down to the running game, man. The Chargers' run defense stinks, bro, this year, man. And I feel like Travis Etienne gonna eat them up this game. I feel like that's where it's gonna be won at, in the trenches, against Etienne, against the linebackers of the Chargers.
So you're taking Etienne versus Khalil Mack and Bosa versus Austin Eckler against Josh Allen and them boys?
Them his names, man. We play on Sundays, man. That's why we play the game.
Let me give you a little bit more of a tidbit and they went into this game too. You remember Cam Robinson was their starting offensive tackle, right?
Right.
He was a starting offensive tackle for them when they went out there to play them in Los Angeles. He's out this game. He's out for the rest of the year. Walker Little is stepping in at that position. Has been in that position for a few games now. So that's something to watch for too, because he's going to either see Bosa or Mack. And I don't know if he's seen anybody of that capability since he's been in there.
Probably not.
Even with Cam Robinson in the game, I'm still choosing the Chargers.
And they ratting a 5-game win streak, so I'm gonna throw that.
So I would say this about Jacksonville, because Mike, me and you had some sidebars about Jacksonville. And I told you then, Jacksonville's they're just different because they scrap, right? They're a young team and they scrap, and they're constantly in battle. If the game is within range, then they have the possibility to prevail, But when it comes to, I don't take nothing away from Trevor Lawrence or Etienne, or any of those guys, or Josh Allen on the defensive side for Jacksonville. I think what Peterson is doing is a great job, right? But I think they have a couple more pieces that they need. I think they're going to be a great team in the next couple of years if they keep the trajectory is pointing up. I'll say that. But when it comes to the Chargers, I just look at the matchup, not the team, the matchup. And I just think that the matchup favors the Chargers in regards to strengths versus weaknesses. Justin Herbert, he's a fighter, and he's a damn good one.
Mike Williams is out.
But okay, but you still but you still have
Josh Palmer.
You still have Palmer. You still have Keenan Allen. You still got Eckler.
You have Gerald Everett at tight end.
They loaded at receiver for real, but I'm saying, they still got Keenan Allen, but Mike
Austin
Williams
Eckler
is your dog. Eckler lead in the league in catches, bro.
But quiet as it's kept.
Running back.
Quiet as it's kept. Yeah. Quiet as it's kept, though.
year. So
Okay. Quiet as it's kept, I'll say that Josh Palmer had a sneaky good season this year, and he could do some damage, especially on the second corner, which, if you all have been paying attention to anything Jacksonville, Mr. Griffin, that used to be out there in their number one corner, he ain't been seen in about 3-4 months now. So he's that second corner position, and Tyson Campbell locked up the number one position. But he already knows he's the number one. But the other guys, they're gonna have a time on their hand dealing with Josh Palmer over there. I will say that.
I just think it's gonna be a good weekend of football. I really do.
Oh yeah, of course. I hope so.
Except for that Buffalo and Miami game.
Well, honestly, I don't know if the Baltimore and if you're looking for pretty, I don't know if the Baltimore and Cincinnati game is gonna be pretty either. But
that's gonna be a dog fight.
Yeah, it is. But speaking of not pretty, the New York Giants don't play the prettiest brand of football. Now, and the thing is, here's it, and I'm getting there. But what I'll say this is about the New York Giants. I call them Saquon and the Pips. That's what I call them. But so Saquon and the Pips are traveling to Minnesota to take on Kurt third cousins. He's third cousins when he's great. He's first cousins when he's good. So they're taking on the Minnesota Vikings. I can't take credit for that. I had to shout out to my boy Tyree. Say it again. He came up with that. So, but yeah, they definitely, they only won by a 61-yard field goal last time. The Minnesota Vikings did against Saquon and the Pips. Now, can they come in there, Saquon and the Pips, and go on ahead and send them on that midnight train, not to Georgia, but to the ends of their playoff run?
You want me to go? You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Go ahead, Push.
Pitts will tell you, Saquon is my guy, man. That's one of my favorite backs in the league right now. But I'm gonna have to go against my guy. I just feel like Kirk Cousins. I think we're gonna see the good Kirk Cousins this game.
I got something for that when you say that, but go ahead.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, because sometimes you get the swaggy Kirk Cousins. You like that? And then other times you might get the 3 interception Kirk Cousins. So I like they got a lot of momentum going into the playoffs. Kirk Cousins gonna be on his game. I feel like if they could get that running game going with Dalvin Cook, get him downhill or some outside lead plays, maybe they could break something, man. But the Giants defense been balling too this year. It's tough, man. But I'm gonna just go with Cousins, man. I'm gonna just go with the quarterback play again. But I feel like Daniel Jones been balling this year too, over 3,200 yards, over 15 touchdowns, something like that. But I'm gonna go with Kirk Cousins, man. I'm gonna go with the veteran.
Hey, funny thing though, just where you get started, Pitts. I'll say that I actually interviewed Daniel Jones the weekend he got drafted. Actually, the draft was in Nashville. I got to talk to him, got to talk to Josh Allen and the Jaguars as well. But that was interesting talking to him. And you just didn't get the vibes of him being the actual starting quarterback. To me, he gave like I'm a simple man. I hang out, I take long walks, and I go home. That's the kind of vibes you got from him. He didn't get anything like, well, I'm the guy starting quarterback. But I will tell you, you picking Kirk Cousins, but one thing you got to think about, remember when Gremlins, they hit water and, they turn into whatever? When Kirk Cousins hit prime time, he turned into third cousins, just like them Gremlins turned into something else when that water hits them. So you might, I don't know about trusting in Kirk like that. So,
I don't trust him. I'm just saying, I feel like we're going to get the swaggy one. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you're going to have a good game. All
right.
I don't. I'm going for the Vikings as well, just because I don't think I've seen enough from New York this year to say, even though they did put up a good fight earlier, they've shown that they can beat them. They can be on the same field with them. But I think Justin Jefferson, if Justin Jefferson can take over the game like he's been doing, then I think it's hard, But Saquon has been showing that he's back. You know, Mike, Saquon remind me when I used to run pushing his teammates over when we was playing. It remind me when I used to run them Hill boys over. Nah, but I don't trust Kirk Cousins either. And that's the issue, because we've seen Minnesota, they played the Indianapolis Colts on Thanksgiving, I think, right? And 30 nothing half, 33-7 third quarter for them not to come back. This ain't Indianapolis Colts. So they can't get down behind that big and expect to come back against the New York Giants.
Right. That you're thinking along the same lines I'm thinking. And it just, to me, it's kind of like here's what I akin the Minnesota Vikings to. And I've said this on my show before, so if anyone's ever heard this, you've heard this before, and I'm going there again. You remember the movie I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker? You remember when he's like in there, Keenan Ivory Wayans sees this pretty woman across the room, and he talks to her, and they end up going back to her place, and he says, well, I have a secret. I don't have this, this, and this. And she's like, oh, well, I don't have this, and these eyes are really not this color, and this isn't me, and this isn't me. She starts taking off body parts and takes off her foot, and she's a whole different person. This is the thing with the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings look pretty with the record, but they're not really pretty on the field. So I they remind me of that woman, and I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker, all the time. That's how I look at them.
They won a total of 6 or 7 games this year by a total of 1 point.
Yeah. A lot of them. I'm sorry, but they remind me of them all the time, and I just that is my thing with them, and then eventually it's going to come back and get them, and of course the opposing team is going to be running away like Keenan Ivory Wayans did in that scene. So
but I don't trust in Kirk. In Kirk, we don't trust.
Yeah, right. I just have a decent game, man. Like I said, I just don't see enough for the Giants, man. They don't have enough firepower, especially with them having Justin Jefferson. Even the tight end been balling this year for them. Hawkinson. I'll say his name. Over 900, over 5 touchdowns. He eating it up in the red zone for him too as well. So
I mean, and don't forget Adam Thielen.
Oh, absolutely, Mr. Reliable.
Yeah. Yep. Also another name that just came back for the Minnesota Vikings, who was their original starting tight end for this year. That's Irv Smith Jr. He's back on the team too. So he's back and playing. So we're gonna end this one with, of course, the matchup of Captain America for some versus America's team. That would be Tom Brady versus the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, I said Tom Brady versus Dallas Cowboys. I didn't say Tampa Bay. But he had a bunch of completions this year. Of course, he set a completion record for himself, I guess, for Tampa or whoever. But, he's 45 years old, and he's probably going to be sponsored by, ginseng and all those different things, AARP next year. But, at this point, you can't really count out that man, old man Brady. It's almost like old man Wolverine. Eventually he's going to break down, but, he just hasn't broke down yet. And of course, he's going against a Dallas team that, you have Trayvon Diggs out there, which Trayvon Diggs versus Mike Evans is going to be a really, really nice matchup. However, I expect the Tampa Bay Bucks to run the football on them, because if playoff Lenny shows up, that changes the trajectory of that entire game. And I think Tampa Bay is going to have something for Dallas, and Dallas might be going home after the first round. And I'm pretty sure Dallas fans are like, nah, man, we're playing the 8-9 Bucks. They ain't been nothing all year. But, hey, when the bright lights come on and it's want to go home, you saw the things that Brady did. You saw the things that Mike Evans did. And you saw just what that team did as a whole. And they're still capable defensively with, of course, Devin White and then Lamonte David in the linebacker core.
This is what I've learned, man, when it comes to football and Tom Brady in playoffs. Don't count that man out, man. I mean, he's ageless, man, especially as a Steeler fan. Done it to us countless of years. I've watched him do it. There's something about Tom Brady when he gets in the playoffs, he like transformed, man. What's that cartoon, man, where he goes super, his hair get blonde, super Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, there you go.
Tom Brady go in that mode, man, and it's amazing to watch, man, when you witnessing greatness. But I think it's going to be a close game. Like you said, if they could run the ball with Fournette, then again, the line of the Buccaneers have been kind of shaky the past couple games. So if Micah Parsons and them young guys could get in there and create some pressure, man, we all know Brady don't like pressure. That could change the dynamics of the game.
True.
I am biased again in this game. As stated earlier, I'm going with Dallas. I'm biased because I'm picking the game to come down on special teams. Shout out to CJ Goodwin, cousin. I expect the special teams of the Dallas Cowboys to just ball out. So I'm biased. I got to root for the family, So even though I'm not a Dallas fan, I root. I go back and forth with Dallas fans. 1995, 96 was a long time to pay off for a Super Bowl. And you only had 3 or 4 playoff wins since then, so you don't really have much to stand on. But that 5, but I'm going with Dallas, man. I'm giving Dak the benefit of doubt that game they played against the preseason team of the Washington Commanders last week, and they just laid an absolute dud. I don't expect to see that same offense from the Dallas Cowboys. I expect to see CeeDee Lamb be more involved, more dynamic. Mike Gallup. I expect to see Pollard and Zeke eat. I expect to see that ground game, to dictate the flow of that game. If Dallas comes out and if Dallas actually loses this game, I don't know what we can say that Dallas needs to get to that next level. Because if you want to talk about on paper, Dallas has it on paper. Offensive weapons and defensive weapons. And they also have one of the most dynamic special team returners. So if you tell me that they go out in the first round then to a team that on paper is not matched up as they are, granted, they do have Brady. I just don't know what the argument is for Dallas is any longer. Then I have to join Stephen A. Smith and just bring out the violin for all Dallas fans.
Hey, I got something for you.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Push.
It just comes down to chemistry. That's all I just wanted to throw in there. They chemistry.
Okay.
Right? That's all.
Well, you said what they need if they don't have anything else. They've got everything. I don't know, man. They may need Jesus, man. He can play multiple positions at the same time.
Well, they said also already have them.
Yeah.
Then you got you said CJ Goodwin's family, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he said, look, man, for you rooting for them, man, he's gonna get you an extra side of that turkey dressing on Thanksgiving, man. He's gonna get you an extra side of that. And just another fact about this game, I was talking to Trey Wingo earlier in the week about this game. What's the last time the Dallas Cowboys have won a road game in the playoffs? The last time.
Was it the Minnesota game?
No, it was Green Bay.
No, they lost to Green Bay with that Dez Bryant catch. They ruled a fumble.
Yeah, the catch no catch play. Yeah, but keep going back.
So we talking a long time then.
1992 was the last win they had on the road in the playoffs.
I said that when they was buying Super Bowls. I just said that. when they paid Neil O'Donnell off.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that was the last time they won a road game in the playoffs was 1992.
1992?
Yes, 1992.
Wow.
That was 31 years ago.
Wow.
92.
92.
Come on, Dallas. Come on, Dallas. Like, Come on, come on, Dallas fans. If y'all don't win this week, I'm sorry. Pittsburgh ain't in it, and I'm glad we ain't in it.
Bro,
But
you know
I'm
it's Brady, man, in the playoffs. What's wrong with you, man?
I'm just tired of Brady.
Man, but man, oh, man.
You know what Dallas
should more. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Dallas should bring Giselle as a guest and put her on the sideline.
That might make him play better. That might make him play better.
Distractions, baby. That's a distraction.
All right. Well, we've reached the end of the show, but of course, we do have our game at the end of the show. 5 questions, 2 answers, 1 choice. Are you ready?
Ready.
That's cool.
All right. We're going to do a little bit of HBCU flavor. We got Morgan State or Bowie State?
Bowie.
Bowie.
All right. I'm telling Morgan. But I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh on this one. Big Ben or Cordell Stewart? Which one did you like more as a player?
I gotta go with Ben because he got us the Super Bowls, man.
Listen, he knows my disdain for Ben Roethlisberger. I'm not a Ben fan, but it's Ben.
Gotta go with the Super Bowl.
All right.
Gotta go with the Super Bowl.
Greg Lloyd or Kevin Green?
Wow. Greg Lloyd.
All right. Okay. Now I'm going. What's that?
I'm taking Greg.
Okay. All right. And we're gonna go safety position. We're gonna go with a little bit of DC and Baltimore on this one. Ed Reed or Sean Taylor?
Sean Taylor. I think that's unfair. I think anytime we compare Sean Taylor, it's unfair, right? Because we saw what he was becoming, but we ain't really get to see the finish. And he was on his way to greatness. You know, rest in peace to Sean Taylor. But I think it's a disservice to not say Ed Reed, being as though we saw how he changed the game. But yo, Sean Reed, what? Pro Bowl? You think we practicing? Oh, I'm hitting punters and all.
What's that?
I said I'm taking Ed though, man. Playmaker.
Yeah, and he's definitely going to be hopefully making plays for Bethune-Cookman this year as a coach.
Shout out to Bethune-Cookman. Ed Reed, we look forward to interviewing you, baby.
Absolutely.
All right, and another one I got for you. Let's see. How many have I gone through? 1, 2, 3,
4.
See, this was 4. Okay, this is number 5 right here. Steve McNair or Doug Williams?
Ooh, man. Doug.
You know what? Only because I didn't see him play that much. I'm gonna have to go with McNair because that's who I saw. I saw his greatness.
That's tough. You talking about 2 great HBCU quarterbacks,
right?
You talking about Alcorn State and Grambling. You know, you talking about when the Mecca was the Mecca. But I just think Doug, man. You know, Doug stepped into a position that we still at that time weren't supposed to be playing. You know, so Doug didn't get the same hand that Steve got. Steve received his hand off the back of Doug paving that way, man, and showing that we can have success in the NFL. So when I give it to Doug, because I look at him as part of that trailblazing squad that paved the way for African-American quarterbacks to even be able to play the position, but show that we can succeed and prevail at that position.
Yep. Gotcha. Well, that wraps up 5 questions, 2 answers, and 1 choice. And that wraps up this show. I want to thank both of you for coming on. And I want to give you the floor, basically talk about, you know, where they can find you on social media, what all shows you're working on, what else, anything you're working on. The floor is both of yours.
As we stated earlier, man, Pitt-N-Push Sports Talk Radio. You know, you can find us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, 7 other different podcast platforms. We're on Facebook. We currently, right now, we monitor, we watch, we follow Bowie State University to a T. We have a great relationship with the university and the coaches. We cover Morgan State, Coach Damon Wilson, who was the head coach at Bowie State, who is now the head coach at Morgan State, and Coach Sewell and all the other Bowie State coaches that went there with them. We got relationship, as you stated earlier, with Coach Hugh Jackson and Grambling Tigers. We are going to be doing more with Hugh. We're going to be doing interviews with Julian Chavez. Is it Chavez, the quarterback for Grambling? Robert Morris University and Coach Bernard Clark. Shout out to Coach Bernard Clark Jr., who actually just went into the Hall of Fame for University of Miami. Congratulations on that. We have a great relationship with him. And not to mention, lastly, the thing that we spoke of earlier, our relationship within the CIAA to now becoming partners with them. We have an event coming up this Tuesday that is it's one of those surreal moments that, we've come so far, but yet we still see so much more that we have to go. And it's a joyful ride to be on, man.
Absolutely.
Good turn, Push.
I mean, he pretty much summed it up, bro. I mean, yeah, man, we just look forward to doing greater things, man, coming this year, man. Like I said, we're in the stages of getting ready to plan, the next backpack giveaway. It'll be in Pittsburgh this coming year. We're working on more podcasts. We're working on, getting the studio built and moving into a studio. Yeah, man, a lot of goals we conquering, man, but we got a lot of more to obtain and get done.
And I think, and I'm sorry, Push. One thing Push said earlier that I wanted to make sure that we give more detail on. Push brought up the talk. A lot of people don't know what the talk is, right? So the talk is a platform panel discussion that we've created and put together that we co-host with CEO Wall, Candy Waller. I believe she was on your show as well. We co-host that panel discussion together, and that discussion is geared towards HBCUs, right? And we talk about when you look at the Deion Sanders situation. That's why we created the panel, the talk, because we feel that HBCUs are not. A lot of people don't really know who they are and what they stand for. We look like the little brother who want to go to the park but can't go because the big brother don't want to take them, right? So you talk about the legacy and the culture of HBCUs. You got to give more defining moments of what that looks like and who are we and how does that look and what does it entail. Then you talk about the recruiting. How can we attain 4- or 5-star recruits to HBCUs and not only recruit them, but bring them and keep them? And then we talk about the exposure, media exposure to be exact. Can we get more games on ESPN2, not ESPNU? Can we get more NBC, ABC games, not just for the HBCU Classic game that goes down every year between Southern and Grambling? More notoriety. I believe that, what Deion did at Jackson State is exactly what HBCUs should already have. And now with Deion gone, we just hope that doesn't go away.
Got you. Now, I will say that Notre Dame does play TSU this year, Tennessee State University, so that will actually be on NBC this year. So that'll be another game there. I'm going to see if I can go to South Bend. Tennessee State University, they play Notre Dame this year.
Oh, really?
In Notre Dame. Yeah.
In Notre Dame?
At Notre Dame, yes.
Eddie George.
That happens. Yep. Eddie George, the Tennessee State University Tigers. Yes, sir. So they'll be up there playing in Notre Dame this year. They actually had a press conference and, everything like that, shook hands on the deal and how it was, and talked about Marcus Freeman talked about it, and the AD talked about how it was important in terms of HBCUs and things like that too. So they had a whole press conference, everything. So it was definitely an interesting kind of, a meeting of the minds, I would say. Both coaches, what do they have in mind for both those teams? They both played at Ohio State. There you go. So want to go ahead and thank everyone again for listening to the show. And you've been tuned in to Touring the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton. We're out.